And I do have plans. I have one of my plans here, the 7 Steps to a Healthy America. On my website, I have items on defense, on mineral extraction, on mining, etc. I have a lot of ideas. Unlike my opponents, their websites are based around smiles and happy faces. But you know what? The 2 scenarios I'm going to place here, and I would like to have sometime have this addressed, be able to speak first, because I would like my opponent to address these things. That is 2 scenarios. One scenario, I lose the pre-primary election that's going to be coming up in Albuquerque. What does the national press do when I lose and my opponent wins? What are they going to do? They're going to yawn. It won't be any big deal. Hey, it's supposed to happen. 98% name recognition, that's what happens. Somebody's been around the political system long enough, everybody knows their name. I lose the general, or the primary. What happens in the national press? Kind of an exaggerated yawn. Hey, I was supposed to lose. Then what happens? Then you have Martin Heinrich come up, and he starts, and him with a group of 100 demonstrators come up to every situation after that, every debate or public appearance, and they start saying, you bailed out Wall Street with Main Street money. You bailed out Wall Street with Main Street money. And what does that mean? What are they referring to? You know, just day before yesterday, I was watching Fox News, and they brought up TARP. And the idea that TARP was a bad idea. Bad concept, made in haste. And anytime, what is that adage that we've all lived with our whole life? Haste makes waste. That's right. And that's what's happened. And you can talk about not growing big government, but in reality, you're growing big government whenever you put $750 billion out into nowhere land with nobody accountable. That was part of the deal. We're not going to hold anybody accountable. $750 billion, how much did that add to each member of your family's life? We still own, what, 50% of GM? And it's underwater? We can't make bad investment. There's no such thing as too big to fail. When something's too big to fail, hey, there's no end to how much assets you can spend. You're free to just throw it away. Continue to pay the bonuses. I'll tell you what, you have them fail, you'll have 2 come up in its place. And we'll be better off for it. We'll be better off for it. We can't have industries that are too big to fail. Now the other part of this scenario, and the bottom line is we lose in November. Once we've lost in November, it doesn't make a darn what we do up to that point. Or who won. Hey, I won 2 of them. I won the pre-primary and the primary. Yeah, but that doesn't count when it gets to the general. I can bring the independents. I can bring people who are interested in changing what's actually happening. In the presidential debate, what's the 2 main things they're talking about? Well, you're a career politician. No, I'm not a career politician. You know, we're going back and forth with that. And what's the other one? You're not a conservative. Yeah, I'm a conservative. I've been a conservative for the last 3 weeks. I just changed my stance. I'll tell you what. Conservatism, you can convert to conservatism on principles or ideas or issues, but unless it's in your bones, you don't innately understand conservative principles and values. And that's where it comes into the future when the voters' opinions and ideas just come in a flood, and then you have to just go ahead and then you just, yeah, I think you started that when I stood up.
No, I didn't.
I've got a timer.
Yeah.
Oh, I waited.
Go ahead, Trey.
Okay. The point is that I can win if I win the primary. What will happen in the national news if I win the pre-primary? I'll have national news on my doorstep the next morning. I can have 5 senatorial endorsements in 10 days if I win the pre-primary. Money, national money will come into New Mexico, and we'll have name recognition. And when I win the primary, that national media will only grow, and and we actually will be a swing state. Because if you vote for my opponent in the pre-primary or in the primary, you're actually voting for Martin Hamlin, because he will win. And you can't attack him on EPA and environment and cap and trade and stuff like that, because my opponent voted for Kyoto. What's Kyoto? Anybody know what Kyoto is? It's a UN-sponsored cap and trade. My opponent is supported by Susan Collins and Olympia Snowe. Do you want to have an Olympia Snowe and Susan Collins? Another partnership in Washington? I don't. I'm not proud of Olympia Snowe or Susan Collins. They're backwoods liberals, as far as I'm concerned. So you're going to have to make your own decision. You're going to have to decide what you are going to do. And, you know, if nothing else, just for entertainment purposes, it might be worth injecting somebody like me into the Washington seat. And I think I can do wonderful things. I would align myself with like-minded conservatives. And if the time isn't now, then when is the time that we're going to take back America? My opponents had opportunity in Washington. This question that you asked, 60% of New Mexico is owned by the federal government. And 16 years ago, I was for the federal government turning it back to the state. I think that's what should have happened. And allow the state to determine what they want to do with the land.